So in this video you'll see how we will take a single security group which has one security appliance attached to it and add some additional appliances to that security group. We'll then install policy onto that security group, and the way that we do that is through the use of the SMO. So we will create in our Smart Console a single management object that represents that security group, and we will see how it's much easier to configure than a traditional cluster. As we are using Maestro, we will then install policy to the SMO IP address, and it's then the responsibility of the Maestro solution to ensure that policy is replicated out to all the other members of the security group. Okay guys, in this lab what we're going to do is try and bring our environment from a single appliance up to a security group that contains 5 appliances. So in Maestro, back on the orchestrator, it's as easy as dragging and dropping appliances into the group. And once we press on apply, after a few seconds we should see some changes using that ASG monitor command that we used earlier. Okay, so you can see instantly the additional members are now becoming part of the group. They're obviously going to go through a process to make sure that they're on the right version, etc., etc., if they need to. But again, what we've done here is just sped up the video slightly, but you can see the members will go through a detached state, they'll go through a down state, and ultimately, obviously, what we want is them to go into a up state. Now, if for whatever reason, as you see here, the device that owns the SMO role changes, which is relatively rare, you can see here that just simply by restarting the session, I was able to reconnect that session. But what we're going to do now is to try and get those devices into a all active state. And the way that we're going to do that is obviously define a object in our dashboard to represent our single management object. Again, we're going to use the IP address that we defined earlier on the orchestrator itself. We will establish SIG trust. You remember we did that during the first time wizard, and if we press initialize, after a couple of seconds it will go off, query the device, work out that it's part of a Maestro setup, and go and pull back those interface settings that we defined earlier. Okay, so again, no configuration of virtual IP addresses, no extra effort on that side. All of that is hidden for you when you're using Maestro. What we can now do, again, just to speed up the process, is we'll now go through the policy installation. Again, we support any blade that was available in 8020 SP or 8030 SP, depending on the appliances that you've used. And again, Maestro will support the later R81 unified software. So once the policy has installed, you'll see that hopefully the device that owns the SMO role at the moment was the member 2. So you can see that's currently active with an exclamation mark, but we'll see now that the FW policy date applied. We can see that the member has now got an active state without any problem, and you can see now that member 1 has also got an active state. Again, just because of the changes that we've done here in the security group, we're going to restart this session simply because the SMO role and therefore IP address owner has changed. But what we should see now is by reconnecting to that security group, running the ASG monitor command again, we can see all of our devices are active and able to pass traffic.